they promise us? They will be in charge of security and life and whatever. But what are we getting in return?
With in-depth analysis and experts' interviews, Hard Facts delivers the truth that others dare not to reveal. Tune into Hard Facts every weekday, 3 to 6 p.m. and arm yourself with the knowledge you need to navigate today's complex world. Hard Facts, where the truth always prevails.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Millions of listeners trust us on Hard Facts. Whether it's politics, social issues, controversies, and trending stories. You know we're credible and objective.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, it's still 99.3 Nigeria Info. I can't even present my show well because my boss is in the studio with me now. I have to be very careful what I say. You know, when you have your boss in the studio, you have to be. So, Lagos, welcome to the show. Welcome to the big hard facts for today. It's World Radio Day, my favorite day in the whole world, because radio is, as far as I'm concerned, radio is the best form of media. You can take that to the bank. Let me tell you, when I was a child, I used to wonder why people carried radio on their shoulder, aboki. I used to wonder when you go to a market store in the market, somebody has radio on the side. I used to wonder why, but now I know because I work in the radio and I know how addictive it is. There's no time you come to my house that my radio is not on. I'm that addicted to the radio. It is my first love. TV is my second love. But both of them are fighting for, superiority. Real attention. Sherry Quadri is here with me in the studio. Femi Bong-Daniel is going to join me. Oh, he's here. Femi Bong-Daniel is here in the studio. Chuman Noli is joining me in a bit because we're all celebrating World Radio Day. And this gentleman, unfortunately, is going to be a house full of testosterone. I'm trying to say it like Femi would say it. I wish that I had more women here so we can soften the blow, but these men are my Valentine for tomorrow. Femi, I don't want to put you into trouble, but you're my Valentine for tomorrow, aren't you? Did you say thank you?
Yes, anything you say. and just also add, you alone, you have enough estrogen to balance all the testosterone.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He meant that in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way.
Well, for those of you who do not know, today is World Radio Day. And the reason why I'm gathering these men in the studio is so that we tell our stories about how they fell in love with radio. Now, the theme for this year is obviously climate change. And I don't want us to have that conversation on a level where we're saying, oh, don't, Mother Earth is doing this, the ozone layer is depleting. No. What are you doing in your own little way to contribute to how climate change is being discussed, how it's being accepted? Are you even doing the right things? It starts from when you chew that gala, where do you throw the paper? It's in our day-to-day lifestyle. And I think that for those of us who are on the radio every day, we sound like broken records when we say, for example, before the rains come, I start singing it as a song. Don't clog your gutters. Keep your environment clean. Because when it starts raining now, you say, government, what are you calling government to come and do? Sheriff.
Yeah, I know.
Government should come and help us. Government needs to. What are you calling government to come and do?
I think we can't underestimate the influence of radio, the impact that radio has on mindset. Radio is like the most accessible, medium of information dissemination. Yep. Because you can't carry TV everywhere. You can't carry TV inside your
even
car.
Your car, it will distract you.
It will distract you. So radio is that device that you see everywhere. It's on your phone. It's everywhere that you look. So it's very easy. It's accessible. It keeps people company. It gives information very easily, and that is why when I saw the theme of this year's World Radio Day, I said perfect. Because it's that medium that if you want to pass across an information, if you want to do a campaign, you get more value when you run it through radio, because
Yes.
everybody can hear you.
It reaches more people.
Where the TV cannot get to, radio is there. And that's the fact. There are places that TV can never get to. Will never get to. But radio is there.
You're talking TV. I mean, you've not even mentioned places where the internet has not gotten, especially in these parts of the country. There are parts of Nigeria that, internet is novelty, still novelty.
You still have to climb trees.
Yes, certainly. Radio is there. The universality and believability of radio is unmatched by any other medium. As a good friend once put it, radio is such a unique medium. Apart from the fact that radio is the only medium where the protagonists end up with lifelong fans. Lifelong fans. TV doesn't have it. The internet doesn't have it. They hail you in the morning, they drag your life in the evening.
The streets of Twitter.
Oh
my God.
There's no loyalty. But radio has the greatest loyalty.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You are 80, but you would know 80-year-olds and 70-year-olds and 60-year-olds who remember your name, who remember your program. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And to the point you were making, Maryann, a while ago about the theme and doing the little bit and your it's not yes, do not clog the waterways, don't litter and all of those, don't cut trees recklessly. But there are even more how do you put it now, simple little everyday ways. For instance, do you still have a habit of leaving bulbs on, bulbs that you don't use, plugging things perpetually
Randomly.
if the new power tariffs have not been enough? Some people, they're just creatures of habits. So and then don't forget too, there are people who still live in areas where there is no proper meter reading for them. It doesn't matter really how much they consume. They will get an estimated bill anyway, so they don't really care. They're reckless, but it all adds up.
Absolutely.
And there is something else. When we were kids, when I was a kid, and I'm sure if you are in your 30s and 40s, maybe more, you'd probably feel the same way. You saw more stars in the skies.
I was having that conversation recently, that where did the stars go?
Many more stars in the sky. Well, where did they go? They didn't go anywhere. They are there. They are still there.
They're there.
They're probably even more than, out there, because, scientists tell us it's an ever-expanding universe, and they are discovering more. 10, 20 years ago, they probably thought that the Milky Way galaxy, they probably thought there were 50 million, or is it billion now? 50 billion galaxies. Now they say it's over 200 billion.
No way.
And I'm not talking about planets or
and
stars.
they're still discovering
I'm talking about galaxies.
And you know what galaxy is?
Yes.
All of us, everything we know is in the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah.
And the Milky Way galaxy is a small galaxy. It's not a big galaxy. Andromeda is a much larger galaxy. And so our Milky Way galaxy, with its hundreds of billions of stars, and in the context, even our sun, as massive as it is an insignificant speck.
I heard.
In the Milky Way galaxy.
I heard.
Yeah, such an insignificant speck. So your planet cannot even be caught from those kind of angles. It does, and then there are billions, and then they say all these galaxies are moving away. The stars are moving away from each other.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means? So here's it. So maybe billions is too much to comprehend.
Exaggeration.
Chuma just joined us now. We are 4 in the studio. Maryann, Sheriff, Femi, and Chuma. Imagine that we all have to move away from each other.
Isolation.
No. I want you to conceptualize this. we have to keep moving away from each other. Now, there is a tendency that if I want to move away from Chuma, I will move closer towards you. If you are moving away from me, you will move
closer to Sheriff.
And Sheriff will move closer to Chuma, trying to evade you. And then Chuma will then be moving closer to me. But that is not what happens in the universe. All these hundreds and hundreds of billions of stars are all moving away from each other perpetually, which science suggests means we live in an ever-expanding universe. The universe,
so it's no longer that tiny joint shape.
Yeah. So it is. Forget. We're not talking about planets
Just
now.
Earth.
The universe, the expanse. The expanse is expanding.
I think that we haven't even scratched the surface.
We haven't.
We know
we've not
nothing.
even built. Look.
We know nothing.
Look. I mean, Elon Musk. Well, we need.
Maybe that's why he's obsessed with going to the moon or Mars.
Yeah, I mean, everything we know is still what you call it now. It is still the fringes of everything we know.
I think
far.
With the expansion and the growth and technology and how it's fast growing, there might be a lot more that we're going to be figuring out.
Yes, certainly.
20 to 30 years.
I think there is now a knowledge explosion. We're going to figure out a whole lot. I mean, AI is a game changer that can potentially
that could also kill us.
Could also kill us. So, like most human inventions, to solve one problem, create 9 more. We live in interesting times. So these little things affect the overall picture of climate change, and we're better to discuss these things than the radio,
because I'll tell you what, some of the first interesting things I learned. I mean, I lived in a library, like I always tell everybody else. But some of the very interesting things I learned was from the radio.
Yes, certainly.
And that's because when I was a child, we didn't have the FM, the megahertz as it is today. We had the AM and
shortwave.
Yes. Medium wave.
AM, shortwave.
Yes.
Amplitude. Whatever it is.
My grandfather first thing in the morning would listen to the BBC, while my grandmother would send me to go and buy newspaper at
my dad would listen
roundabout.
My dad would go from the BBC to the VOA to the GBC. Have you heard GBC? Ghana Broadcasting Corporation.
Never heard about it then.
That was, but my dad used to aggregate this. So BBC was, top there, and then there was VOA, and then there was GBC. I remember GBC very well. This is Ghana Broadcasting Corporation.
No, you didn't say it was Ghana.
Again. But again, what stood out for me, because they sounded more like us than the Europeans.
I saw what you did there.
And they were always 1 hour behind us, I guess.
They still are.
Radio back in the day, the AM frequencies.
They were
like every man's best friend.
I know.
Because, how many people had the money to go and buy TV back then? I mean, look.
And that TV that you had, they opened it at 6 p.m. You go and open the door like this.
There's a key. I started at Radio Nigeria, by the way. Sheriff, did you start at Radio Nigeria yourself?
Yes, I did.
What's all this?
Yes.
What's all this? Where did we start, Chuma? Where did we start?
The legendary Cross
River Broadcasting Corporation.
More like Ntakara FM.
Oh, God.
His friend Frank Edogo will come for him, man.
No, when Frank was here the other day, and he was reminding me of Mr. Soul, Emmanuel Adi. And he was trying to remember the frequency, and I only could remember House on the Hill. I couldn't remember our frequency.
I hear it's changed like 16 times in the last decade.
Femi, what's the problem?
5.5 or something.
Femi, what's the problem?
No, I just so back in.
Well, it was a big thing back then, even for me as a kid growing up, to have what we called ward receiver.
Yeah,
there was this small.
Every family had. Most families had.
I come I come from a time before the world receivers, actually.
Ancient days.
Or maybe they were called, maybe it was the same thing and we didn't call it. We just always knew that back in the day, your parents had a radio there was a radio in your living room. There'll probably be one in your dad's bedroom.
Your dad's room, yeah.
And there's always one mobile one that he carried around. Men tended to carry radios around
a lot. Yes.
And they didn't feel too proud of buying batteries.
Those
batteries.
Big tiger head batteries.
There was one like this. Who knows Barrack batteries? Blue colored.
Femi, you're ancient of days. You are not.
These children. Oh my shit. Red was blue and I did bother. And so that radio was everywhere. There was a radio everywhere you went. So even when you were, most of your earliest learning was radio.
Was radio. That's what I'm saying.
Country music. How else would you have heard country music?
Yeah.
Do you know? And I don't understand. Can somebody explain to me? I don't know if it happened in the Southwest, but in our parts, in the South, it was country music. The studio manager would play.
Yes,
I knew every Don Parsons song.
Yeah, I knew it. Don Williams.
I know.
Yeah, and there was always a country. I still remember the names and the individuals and the voices. Country music was a thing. You almost always remember when they would always play.
It was just crazy.
And I think the reason why it was that way was that the standards were still very much the same.
Yeah, across. You
lived in you most likely grew up in a state where there were just two radio stations. Probably a federal radio station, which is Radio Nigeria, and a state. I grew up in Ibadan, and when I was a kid, there was Radio Nigeria. There was BCOS.
Was it BCOS then?
No, it wasn't BCOS. It used to be Radio OYO.
Okay.
When I was a kid, Radio OYO. It was Radio OYO. That's Radio Oyo. And then there was, of course, NTA, which was the only television
at the time, for the longest time.
And then I think in the early 80s or late 70s, I think maybe early 80s, the state Broadcasting Corporation started their own TV in Oyo State. They called it TSOS, Transmission Service of Oyo State. It was later changed to BCOS, Broadcasting Service. That was my story where I grew up.
Yeah, so I love that story.
He was even lucky to have two radio stations. We had just one, Maryann.
We had one.
Which was the Cross River Broadcasting Corporation. And the second option was the Akwa Ibom Broadcasting Corporation.
We never had FRCN for the longest time.
Until much later.
Until later.
You didn't have FRCN because those of us who conceptualized FRCN, we looked at the more important parts of the country. Like,
tell me what the problem is.
Don't listen to that
now.
Don't listen to that.
So we call them the national FRCN national station.
National station.
I was just playing actually.
But
of course, so FRC Radio Nigeria was in Enugu. So there was one for the Enugu. The one in the Enugu covered most of the east.
Yes.
So we then had Ibadan. But we also had Lagos.
Yes.
Because Lagos was the capital forever.
Yeah.
And I think where else? Oh, we had in the north. I think Kaduna. Radio Nigeria, Kaduna. I think Kaduna.
Yeah.
And then maybe at some point,
I'm not certain about Port Harcourt.
I think Port Harcourt.
But it would have come later.
Yeah, I think Port Harcourt came
much later.
It used to be. I think there was a standard 5 initially.
Yes,
for each region, right?
Because I know it took forever before we had ours.
These stations, when you had yours, this was during the early 2000s when Radio Nigeria decided to embark on what they call the 36 FM stations.
Yeah, and they became FRCN.
Yeah, they wanted FM stations in every state. I was part of it because it was Ibadan National Station that, in fact, I was dragged back to Radio Nigeria at about that time when they were trying to set up. So the very first one that was set up was in, hold on, I think it was Positive FM, I think Akure. Akure. And then because it was Ibadan, Radio Nigeria Ibadan that set it up, and then we set up Premier FM in Ibadan, and then there was Gold FM and this FM and that FM.
I think ours was Canaan FM or something.
Yes, Treasure. Yes, it's about that time. But the very first one, the very first of those 36 FMs, as one in every state, was the one in Akure. Yes.
Lucky guys. In case you're just wondering, this is not sports gang. It's not sports gang.
It's a gang up, but
it's a gang of radio gurus. You understand me?
Radio old people.
And ancient of days.
You old now.
My dear, you're old. Forget about it.
Yeah, you are in junior old age. Junior or intermediate old age?
Early stage of old age. We'll be right back after these messages. It's World Radio Day 2025. Chuman Nolly in the studio, Femi Abong Daniels, Sharif Quadri, and me, Maryann Okon. I'll be right back.
Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
Mama, they don't dash me 20,000 naira for.
My pikin, who they dash 20,000 naira for this kind time?
That they dash everybody will get smart cash account 20,000 naira.
You mean them go dash me 20,000 naira a wolf too?
Yes, so mama. That they dash all old and new smart cash users 20,000 naira a wolf.
Oh yeah, tell your yard people make them dial *939# or download Smart Cash app to open their own account. Make themselves enjoy 20k a wolf. Every time when you buy airtime or pay bills with Smart Cash, you go chop inside your 20k. Terms and conditions they shall.
I don't see my own a wolf. Oh.
Smart Cash, powered by Airtel.
Hello, excuse me. This Milo pack looks different. I'm seeing support energy release, BAM, on the pack. Is it the same Milo? No, this one is new and improved. The support energy release means when you give your kids Milo as part of breakfast, you are giving them energy they need to go to school. Ah, I like this one.
Your kids need nourishing energy. Give them the new and improved Milo at breakfast. It has nutrients that support energy release to help them get the most out of their day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo! I'm in love, Sonia tomato mix, stand up. Is it to open? Is it to squeeze? Is it to scoop and is it to stir? Dishes come alive with so much taste. Sonia tomato mix, of course. Sonia tomato mix, yes sir. Sonia tomato mix, stand up pouch.
Sonia tomato mix in a new stand up pouch.
So much in love.
Life can sometimes feel like a marathon, but one thing's for sure, running with friends feels better than running alone. So don't just run up with your Paddy of Life, Aquafina Premium Drinking Water.
Your Paddy of Life.
The 15th of February marks the 10th edition of the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon, and Aquafina has been the loyal Paddy for 10 years, refreshing and hydrating runners every step of the way. There's no better time than now to run the Lagos City Marathon with Aquafina, your Paddy of Life.
Sister chasing all the bags. Come and secure another bag with the Jolly Just Come Welcome offer. BetKing is giving 100 naira instant sign-up bonus. That's not all. Within 14 days on the app, you stand a chance to get up to 1 million naira in rewards and enjoy 50 free casino bets on Aviator. Download BetKing app and register today using the promo code FREEBETS to enjoy your 100 naira instant sign-up bonus and other exciting offers. Terms and conditions apply. Not for persons under 18 years. Play responsibly.
My kids love tasty snacks, but many snacks are not so good for them. That's why I love the new Milo Anna Snacks.
We love it, Mom.
Yes, it's a delicious snack with the goodness of malt, milk, cocoa, and crunchy Niger-grown maize containing calcium, iron, and fiber.
So, pack Milo and snacks in their lunchbox every day to help your kids refuel at break time and keep winning all day. Milo, energy to go further.
Oh, lunch. Guys, I'm going for lunch. Please, put more stew. Nice meal. Ah, my chest.
Suffering from heartburn and indigestion? Try Just Eat. Just Eat is a brand of aluminium and magnesium hydroxide and simethicone. Just Eat is available in suspension and tablets. Remedy for heartburn, indigestion, flatulence, and acidity.
Jested, now available in new packs. If symptoms persist after 3 days, please see your doctor. Read leaflet inside.
In the cooking game, you need a winning game plan. I'm not just talking about your fresh ingredients, utensils, or cooking skills. I'm talking about your choice of seasoning. Your game plan is incomplete without Maggi chicken flavor. Made with a flavorful formation of onions, celery, turmeric, it's the game changer. Elevate the taste of your everyday dishes with delicious rich chicken flavor. Oh yeah, let's go.
New Maggi chicken flavor, the game changer.
As we celebrate 10 years of 7-Up and Lagos City Marathon being in the game, we have to give it to Lagosians. We know all about running. To enter Danfo,
we run!
Small rain,
we run!
Sun,
we run!
Unnecessary billing,
we run!
This is Lagos, and we love running. So, whatever your reason for running this year, own your lane with 7-Up at the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon on the 15th of February. 7-Up, the diff is clear.
In a world where words hold power, where only the sharpest minds survive, one stage will decide it all. On February 17th, 2025, the battle of intellects begins. The I Beg to Differ Secondary School Debate Tournament returns, where the best young debaters go head-to-head, armed with nothing but facts, logic, and the will to win. Who will stand their ground? Who will outthink, out-argue, and outshine the competition? IBTD Debates Competition Studio reopens February 17th at 4 p.m. Tune in, witness the debates, watch history unfold. I Beg to Differ is proudly supported by Obiwizi. Prize money sponsor, Tollywood College Lagos. I Beg to Differ, the Tournament of Champions.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
Millions of listeners trust us on Hard Fact. Whether it's politics, social issues, controversies, and trending stories, you know we're credible and objective.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Just to remind you that we're a room full of Arsenal fans and there's one Manchester United person here.
There's one Real Madrid too.
Oh, gosh.
And no Man City fan here, and they've been dragging Man City here. Say Arsenal humbled them. Oh, Haaland, not just.
It was so beautiful. It was a beautiful day for me, and I'm still boasting about it. Even though,
I can imagine.
What's that team that won us 2-0 the other day?
Newcastle. At this point, you're Man United.
No, I'm Arsenal. Arsenal.
Oh, she's.
What, Femi? What does that mean?
So who's Man U here?
There's no Man U here
actually.
Oh, so you? Oh, I thought you were Man.
He's a Real Madrid fan.
Oh, you're a Madrid fan.
Yeah,
okay. You see, I have a little
That's
love.
my wife. I know I stoop, but I don't.
I have a little love.
I don't
Madrid.
stoop to that level.
I beg.
No, I mean to the Man U level.
Okay. No, Man U is out of the game.
Said you
Leave them somewhere.
Yes.
Oh, he's a Man U fan. Nice.
Yeah, he is.
In case you're just joining us, it's not Sports Gang. I remind you, it's Hard Facts. 99.3 Nigeria Info. We're broadcasting live from our audiovisual studios right here in Itimi and Crescent, Victoria Island, and we're celebrating World Radio Day 2023, and that's why you hear all the voices, all the best voices on the radio. You know,
that's
what
right.
I mean? Yeah, allow us. That's that lizard that falls. When the lizard falls, nobody's there to applaud him. We applaud himself.
Yes,
that's they're a lizard.
Allow us. So we're talking about. So I'm going to grill these guys. So Femi Obong Daniels is in the studio. Sheriff Quadri is in the studio. Chuman Nolly is in the studio. They're all going to share a bit of their radio days, early radio days, or how they got into radio. Just briefly, because of time. I have 21 minutes on the clock. And you obviously will join the conversation. But I want to start with Sheriff first, because I've heard Femi's
I thought you
story.
wanted to sell market too. Okay.
We have market that we're selling. Kemi is here. Kemi.
My name doesn't There's no H.
Kemi.
Maybe it's Y.
This is how Rapuruchuku calls her Kemi.
I'm
so
tired.
Kemi, what are you selling?
Kemi, I like
Okay,
you.
so it's also.
Why are you not yellow?
Kemi, it's actually yellow. I'm going to Anambra soon.
I'll come for you, man. I'll come for you. I'll come for you.
There's an Anambra man here. Okay.
The beauty of languages.
It's still on sports, okay? Lagos get ready to make history. 1 decade after, was still running stronger than ever. Are you set to hit the streets and create unforgettable memories at the 10th edition of the Axis Bank Lagos City Marathon 2025? If your answer is yes, then join over 10,000 runners in the 42-kilometer and 10-kilometer races and be part of historic moments that will leave a mark for the books. Experience the excitement, the adrenaline, and personal achievements that come with being part of this iconic event. Don't miss out. To learn more at www.axisbank.com. Okay, so that's www.axisbankplc.com/marathon. All right, that's where you learn more and register. Okay, and get ready to make this milestone an edition to remember. Don't miss out.
Thank you very much, Kemi.
Kemi has sold her market.
Kemi, that's market. Because I'm a natural. I like to run. According to my former co-uncle, Oracle, he said, I will see you every morning like somebody's watching you. Why are you running?
From Nigeria for Port Harcourt, right?
Yes, I loved my early morning runs. And you know, that East-West Road was just a beautiful length to just run.
Yeah, it was.
So thank you, Kemi.
At this juncture.
This young child. Yes,
somebody sent me a video about a girl.
Side.
She said she was crying and they asked her, what's the problem? See, we're gonna jump. He said, which jam? Oh, I need money for yam.
For you.
The guy said, how much yam?
Are you hungry?
The guy said, a fried one on a fried one. He said, no, yam from. So the guy said, yam from. He said, oh, jam. He said, yum.
and then it's the way they flip it. I had an uncle who told me that his business name was Jude's Opinion. And Jude was my best friend in this life, my childhood friend. So I was like, hey, do you know that my best friend is also Jude? I was like wondering, why did you call it Jude Opinion? Like, do you like? And the guy was looking at me like, what is wrong with this? On one day, he went to buy a new vehicle, like a branded, then branded the vehicle and then brought the vehicle. So he came to Lagos. He came from Akwa Ibom to Lagos to buy, and then they branded it and then he brought it to Ibadan. And I saw that it's youth.
Oh, youth opinion.
Youth opinion. I was like, what the fuck? I thought you said it was Jude Opinion.
We're blessed, really. We're blessed, RC.
Hey, my language don't suffer, man.
Our language is so bad.
What people mean? We have a certain president that we say, gentlemen. Let's do this.
It's just lovely, man.
Can we? Let's just talk about one radio.
It's a beauty of radio, isn't it? Just brings the humor too into the conversation. Yeah.
What's the issue? Okay.
I know, like you should go and have your hair checked up.
See, this is why I don't like to have Femi in this studio. Okay, back to World Radio Day. Somebody sent that battery picture.
Wait, before you go, the day I read in the Bible, there was war between the Judeans and the Samaritans, they were all part of the same nation, but they had split. The nation of Israel, 12-tribe kingdom, had split. So there was a 10-tribe northern or southern kingdom with the capital in Samaria, and there were the 2-tribe kingdom of Israel, and there was war, and there was a bridge, and so it was because they were cousins. They now try to decide how do we know who you are. So I think the men from Judah will station themselves on that bridge. If you are coming, they will tell you to say Shibboleth. You see, But the other people could not say Shibboleth because she was C for them. So they would say Sibolet.
Oh.
And they would cut off their head.
You can't fake it. You can't fake it because
So I
of
was
the
like,
accent.
how will Ibadan people have survived that kind of environment?
All the Jebusites, the Jebu
chicken
people.
is sicking.
Sibolite.
And cushion is cushing.
Amazing.
I love my Ibadan people. I love you.
Yeah. I'm an Ibadan guy, by the way. Don't mess with us. Yeah.
I love my Ibadan
Let's-
folks. Okay, let's come back to Sheriff. Sheriff, let's tell us how you.
How many minutes do we have?
You have 5 minutes.
You know that history cannot be told in.
You are going to talk about Bereko.
You have 3 minutes.
Say we saw
I've reduced the time.
Don't forget our Berek picture, but we'll come back to it.
Yes.
Yeah, battery. Okay.
So
thank you to the guy.
Did you always know? Did you always know that you were going to be
yes.
on radio?
I was a radio lover through and through.
We all were.
I had so many radios, all kinds of radios. So when I went to school, when I got admission into Uniloring, my 100 level, I was busy looking for radio houses. There were no just state radio, then. So I went to my uncle and I told the uncle, Fashion radio. I said, I've never worked, in a radio station before. He said, okay, come. And now he drove me to the state radio. We asked to see the general manager. He was busy. We waited. We got to see him. He said, you're still in school. What level? I said 200 level. I said, okay. You know what? We don't take students and all of that.
He's lost.
So we went back home. I went back to school. Then the next day I was listening to that same radio station. I had a guy, and the guy was saying he needed help. Whoever would like to help him with some segments and everything. I did not even finish. I did not finish listening to the radio. I went there. I was there outside waiting for him. The moment he was done, I spoke with him, introduced myself. He said, "Look, you sound good already. Let's plan for tomorrow." He was having every day.
Oh, that was like
show.
this.
So and that was it. The same general manager now listening to the show that next day.
And was like, who's this guy?
And I requested that I come to see him.
Oh.
He didn't recognize me.
Oh, sir.
Funny enough. So I got there. He saw me and I said, I listened to you on, what's that guy's show? I think his name is Femi or something. Then I said, okay, would you like your own show? I was like, excuse me. Excuse me.
You don't remember me, sir. So it's me. It's me. It is
I didn't even bother to remind him. He said, would you like your own show? I said, I won't mind. He said, okay. I'll call this thing. We'll give you 30 minutes. The following week, increased to 1 hour. The following week, increased to 2 hours.
Nice.
Amazing. So the downside to all of that is I forgot I was in school.
Yeah.
Because
it happened to all of us.
Yeah.
We were useless.
Yeah.
We all had bad grades because of radio.
Do you understand?
There had to be an intervention stage for me to go back to school.
Yeah. I just forgot.
That's just the thing. That we were useless. I mean, we in community CLA and UI back in the day. Those of us who are radio people were the most useless people. Some of us did not even turn up. Some of us did not even submit their projects.
Yeah.
I remember the day our lecturer,
sad.
Mr. Norman, said, "Your friend did not submit his project."
So for me, it was just positive because all my lecturers just became my friends by force. Because they all wanted. So for me, I was on radio and I was on TV, so I was very famous.
And
so
and
all my lecturers were my friends. They wanted to come on my show, so they played nice.
I was on FM, AM, and TV.
Yeah. What's all this?
By the way, to tell you how, just to add to Sheriff's story, I don't know how many years it was from between that time. Did you go from there to Radio Nigeria Ibadan?
No. I went to Osun State, worked there at the State Broadcast Service.
When did you join Radio Nigeria Ibadan?
That was that not 2007?
2007.
Yeah.
So I left Radio Nigeria Ibadan late 2005. I left. And at some point in, I think 2007, I got a call from the colleagues at Radio Nigeria. And the call was like, Femi, we finally found somebody to replace you. Guess who that person was?
It was Sherry. Oh, that's so cool. Let's hear Chuma's story. Chuma is the baby of the house.
Nice.
You know.
I feel
no.
wrong
I
again.
think Kofi would be the baby of the house if you were here. Yeah, actually.
I feel young again.
Yeah.
So Chuma, tell us how. I remember Chuma. He was so young and cuddly when he showed up to the studio. But yeah. Tell us your story.
I think in my case, yeah, just like Sheriff mentioned, I was also passionate about listening to radio. So the popular brands then for us were BBC as always, and then VOA. I was a huge fan of Sonny Young, Sonny Side of Sports back in the day. And then CRBC, the State Broadcasting Corporation. And I loved sports, so I'll listen to the guys who were doing sports, and I enjoyed what they were doing, but I never thought I was going to do radio stuff. I know the closest I did was when you have football tournaments, I'll have like a booklet, write name of referee, match, and then just document and keep just for the sake of the fun of it. And I used to imagine myself too. Then I didn't know it was called Vox Pop. I just used to say, imagine if you're walking on the streets and these people that hold camera now ask you, what do you make about this? How would you respond? And I'll look at the mirror and then speak to the mirror.
You were really
just
preparing.
for the fun of it again. And then I get into the university to study marine biology. And in my first semester of my second year,
marine radio, marine spirit.
in the first semester of my second year, I'm speaking to a classmate of mine, or a colleague of mine, and then one guy walks up to us and says hi and walks away. And then the person I was speaking to now said, that guy did try you. And I'm like, I did try. Who he be? He says, he does sports on CRBC. That's the Cultural Broadcasting Corporation. I'm like, wait, what's his name? Philip Obaji. That's that guy. He's in our class. Is this thing you guys just said about the fact that I hardly saw Philip in our first year. Honestly, I hardly saw him in class. So I didn't know the guy was our classmate. So and I said, that's the guy. And I left this person I was speaking to and ran to that guy. Because if there's one thing I learned from my parents, they didn't have to say it to me, but they made us understand somehow that you don't have to be the best person in your clique of friends.
Yeah.
So if you're the richest, don't be the most intelligent. If you're the most intelligent, don't be perhaps the most outspoken. There has to be something you have to learn from another friend
person,
of yours. So I was like, this guy did radio. There could be one or two things I could learn from this guy. And then I ran after the guy. At that stage, Philip was already driving to school at that stage. A young guy, but he was driving to school and all that. And he didn't have any friend in school.
Yeah, Philip was much of a nerd.
He didn't have any friend at the time.
A bit of a problem too, because again, when you're on radio, so much exposure back in the days, you probably lost your peace. So you would say, we seemed very unserious in university, but sometimes you just wanted to be left alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you really couldn't tell.
Yeah, I used to deliberately.
Who was your real friend?
I used to be deliberately late to lectures. And I would go out just before it's over so I can get sneak out. I was like that.
So
I'm
very guilty. I'm sorry, guys, to burst your bubbles. I was somebody that liked book. So I sat in front of the class.
No.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I came early. I passed all my assignments. This is also why my lecturers really loved me. And but what I didn't like about it was that I was the one they used to preach in class. Look at your mate.
They put you under too much pressure.
Yes, and I didn't really like it because they'd say, she's got a job and she's coming to school and she passes all her assignments and she does this. What are you people doing that your hostel? I say, hey, God. But for me, I think it was a learning curve. I never thought that in my life I would be working at that age and schooling. And I had 3 jobs. Chuma would tell you.
Government house.
I worked in government house. I worked as the media person for the Department of Public Transportation. I worked for the then AIG of police. And I worked for the governor. Plus my TV and my radio job. So at any time, government house vehicle can come and say, guys, events.
We need you for this,
and you leave.
Come on.
It was daunting, but sometimes I look back and I wonder how I did it. And I think the best place I found myself every other day where I just was happy to be or would light up was when I was on the radio. And I had a show that was so much fun. I used to do it on the weekend. What was it called again? No.
So first of all, there was Sound of Breakfast, which is a breakfast
That
show,
was
but
the
then you had the
breakfast
weekend shoot, so I remember that.
And the other one,
I can't remember right now the name.
I think the show was We Don't Forget.
Nice one.
No, for real, it was called. It was a music show, and it was like the best show ever.
You know, it was shocking, Femi, when Maryann joined Nigeria Info, because this is a lady who used to talk music. Today, if I ask her about Nigerian music, she knows not.
I can't even dance
Not that she
anymore.
doesn't know anything, but she doesn't follow it as much as she does with politics. And the transformation was simply incredible, from her POV. But just to wrap up from my end, and then I follow this Philip guy, and then we become friends. And then this very day, he didn't drive to school. Apparently, his car had issues. He says, please escort me to the school gates. That's the University of Calabar gate. And I said, okay, I'll escort you. I escorted him halfway. I wanted to go back to class. And he said, escort me to the gate. And I'm like, if I escort you to the gate, who takes me back to the class? Guy, go from here. He says, don't worry, you follow me to the studio. You know, like,
no school again.
Normally when kids will go for excursion and then go to a radio station, a television, I had never gone close to the Crossroad Broadcasting Corporation. All I did was just pass the main gates while driving past to church. Then I follow him, and then we go there. I just wanted to be excited by the view and the opportunity to be there. Then he turns on the mic and puts me on. Now, he puts me on because in the past, while we're in school, he'll say, just imagine if you were to be with me on radio and I asked you this question, what would you say? So he had tested us once or twice, I and another friend of mine, Robert. So he now threw me into the deep sea, as the case is. And I responded, well, first timer, 2006, I responded. So after the show, a few persons who were there, the older folks, now asked, is it your first time on radio? I said, yes. Yeah, you didn't do badly. I said, well, are you serious? Thank you, sir. Thank you. And Philip said, start coming. But just like Sheriff, because Philip was a young guy, the general manager then, or programs manager then, didn't want a sports show that has just kids who are teenagers.
Yeah.
So he tells Philip after about 2-3 months of me coming that I cannot have all of you young boys, because it's the only radio station in the States.
I want a little more maturity.
So tell that boy to stop coming.
Aww.
You know, and he had a bit of that break. Philip says, okay, join me on the weekends, don't come on weekdays. And the rest is history.
It's history. And just as an addition, Kofi was also part of the young kids.
Yeah, that's right.
So Kofi today that is talking on the morning call fire used to be a sports adjournment. Is they join? They join for the
join
side.
to Philip and Chuma.
But I mean, it's lovely that we can all tell these stories because every time people see you at your full stage, when you've come full circle, they think that this is how it all started. People don't understand that there was a process and you grew through it. I told you about my first day on TV. It was a cold, windy day by the river somewhere in Calabar.
By the way, we actually have a podcast where we had this conversation, myself and Maryann, and our podcast will soon be out.
Yes.
It's
called Out the Box.
Outside
the Box.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, you need to follow.
That's the thing. So you have the guy who always wanted to do radio. The guy who
never thought he was going to do radio.
Thought he could do radio.
Yeah.
And you have us
who never thought who didn't even want to,
who did not want to do radio.
We didn't want it.
So those of us who knew we could do radio, everybody said we could do radio, but we used to say, God forbid.
Exactly. I wanted to be a banker because at the time you had the Standard Trust Bank. And
I just wanted to fly planes.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, wow. Ironically, the first time I listened to Sheriff, because then in Calabar again, the absence of options just had CRBC, AKBC. But during the Hamatan season, from November, December, we'll get Port Harcourt, we get a few Equatorial Guinea, Cameroon, depending on what time of the year. And then I listened to this guy on the Cool FM football fan show. At that stage, this was 2011. My friend Philip, of course, had known you at that stage. So there was already
I must have left Port Harcourt at the time.
Yeah, so the dream for us was we're done. We had gotten to the ceiling in Calabar. There's nowhere else to break. We had to think of going somewhere else. So we now started listening, and then that was when I first heard Sheriff, 6:30 to 7 p.m. I don't know if I were to ask Sheriff to do a football show now, what happens?
I know, right?
But then it was Sheriff and China Chiru.
It's the metamorphosis for me.
The cool football fan show.
I think that was your first foray into sports yourself. Yeah.
And Sheriff, so my brother had the longest crush on Sheriff's voice because Sheriff's voice was just a breath of fresh air. I mean, we had great voices in Calabar, don't get me wrong, but Sheriff's voice was just new and different. And my brother would every time we said the name Sheriff in the house, my brother would just say, "Oh, my man, Sheriff."
Did I also mention that friends at Radio Nigeria didn't forgive me because after celebrating that they finally found somebody to replace me, I went back there and
took the guy.
I stole him. That was in 2011.
2011, yes.
Early 2011. I went and stole Sheriff and took him to Port Harcourt.
And
then years later, he left Port Harcourt and ran to Lagos.
So
I went there and stole him again.
It's normal. You never let us. I remember in 2020.
I don't care where he goes. I will still go and steal.
I was hosting an event, and as soon as Femi saw me, say, "You need to come back to me." What's the problem,
certainly.
sir? What is it?
I remember that.
I just want to say quickly before we go. We have just a minute. it's the beauty of our fans. They follow us everywhere we go. Every time I'm not a Facebook person, but every time I open my Facebook, there's somebody there saying, I miss you in CRBC. Why did you leave Port Harcourt? It's just this, but it's so lovely that these guys remember you. They never forget
Radio
you.
fans. Yeah. Radio fans are amazing.
Yeah, they follow you everywhere.
There are no fans like radio fans. Thanks to the guy who dropped the Berek battery photo on YouTube. Go to our live stream and see the comments. And
yes. The Berek battery is on our X, by the way.
Oh, X. Okay.
So this is from Nofew. Nofew on X says, happy anniversary. And she says, World Radio Day. Thank you, everyone. Mrs. Oboli, thank you for your message. She says, good evening to the loveliest, finest, most prolific OAPs of Nigeria Info. Thanks a bunch for bringing rays of sunshine into our lives, or the lives of your fans. You're our palliative, our burden bearers, and our therapists and all. We love you too. But we've got to go, guys. Thank you, Femi. Thank you, Chuma. Thank you
for having us.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Kemi.
Sell some more markets.
All right, that's the show today. Tomorrow is Hard Fact Awards. We love you, Lagos. Thank you so much for always listening. Keep listening.
Millions of listeners trust us.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.